The moment has finally come when yours truly, Tim Pool, was featured by the January 6th committee. I was wondering if I was ever going to be famous enough to make their silly little sham hearing. The January 6th committee, mind you, is a non-adversarial hearing where people just lie, make things up, and apparently it's treated as fact. Let me give you the lowdown, my friends. I get a text message and they're like, I couldn't help but notice that, you were on the January 6th hearing. And I was like, wow, what did the Democrats trying to stop Trump from running in 2024, what did they say about me? And apparently nothing. It's literally nothing from me. The craziest thing. They're trying to make it seem like these prominent pro-Trump YouTubers were pouring fuel on the fire or whatever. Oh, poor babies. Listen, in the United States, we have a right to a First Amendment. And in that First Amendment, I can read the news. Our good friend Salty Cracker was getting played as well. His is a bit more edgy and funny than mine. But the clip they show of me is literally me like, Fox News has reported that Donald Trump says there will be a wild protest on January 6th. More information at 8 p.m. at Timcast IRL. I love it. I'm like, come on. There's tons of other things you could have pulled out of context, like me quoting someone. This is what's funny about it. These people are like, oh, they showed you, Tim. Oh, you were right. Okay, here's the story. There was a Fox News article. Donald Trump says the protests on January 6th will be wild. That was December 19th, 2020. And I said, yeah, I think it will be, and hey, violence doesn't work. This has long been a position that I've maintained ever since, before going back to 2011. During Occupy Wall Street, we had this thing with what was called the Black Bloc, a sect of leftist violent protesters who were violent. And the majority of us maintained the violence was hurting the cause, was hurting the anti-establishment anti-establishment ideas and making you look like the bad guys. We even contemplated a way to try and advocate for nonviolence. And then we saw with Black Lives Matter in the George Floyd incident that they had tremendous support until they started rioting. And then they lost all of that support. So my position is, and always will be, you need political tact, strategy, but violence will hurt you. It doesn't work. I suppose maybe if the country implodes and people are fighting in the streets and you're defending yourself, sure, defend yourself. But any idea of a violent riot helping your cause is just absolutely not true. Now, here's the best part. They call me a pro-Trump YouTuber. Thanks, guys. It is true that I did vote for Donald Trump, and I lean more towards Trump than, the Democrats especially. But even right now, I tweeted earlier today, before they even published this video about me, Ron DeSantis is better all around. But of course, they don't like Ron DeSantis either. So the actual story I was preparing to do was about Elon Musk saying that Trump should hang up his hat and DeSantis should run because DeSantis is going to win. And I was going to be like, I agree, good sir, Elon Musk. But then I get a text message, so I'm going to play the clip, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with J6 and Steve Bannon. Here's the gist of it. They want to smear me. They want to smear Salty Cracker. They want to smear whoever they can. They're trying to hurt Donald Trump's chances in 2024. You know what? I don't care. I've long maintained that Ron DeSantis is substantially better than Donald Trump. But Donald Trump, if he got in, I think he's more likely to fire people who need to be fired, which is why I've been like, man, it's a tough call. I think it's possible that Donald Trump loses. I do. I don't think it's likely, but I think there's a decent probability of it. The New York Times put out a poll showing that Joe Biden would beat Donald Trump. I think that's laughable, but far be it from me to claim I know what's going to happen, considering I was wrong about 2020 and 2018. I learned my lesson. What I will say about 2020 and my predictions is that I did see the growing support for Donald Trump. What I didn't see was the growing opposition. And I was surprised. I was surprised to see that the media narrative had worked so well. So I was wrong about that. I don't care if I'm wrong. Look, I'm a dude who gives his opinion on the internet after reading news stories. I'm not a psychic. I get things wrong. I do get some things right. And when I do get them right, I'm like, hey, look, I got that right. But let me play this video for you, show you what they're saying and why they're saying it. It's rather simple. And then we'll talk about Bannon testifying to the January 6th committee. And more importantly, Ron DeSantis will be the bulk of this segment. I want to talk about Elon Musk addressing the issue. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member of one of the fastest growing independent media organizations on the planet. That's right. We are fast growing. I don't know what that means. Look, we're decently big for who we are and what we do. I'm surprised at the things we're able to do thanks to your support. We're going to be picking up some comedy specials. We're going to be calling out the lies and bringing on journalists to challenge the establishment narratives and prove that they're liars who just want to steal power. So, of course, they want to smear me. They don't like the fact that I am not far right. I am not the most staunchest of Trump supporters, but I did vote for the guy. Fair point. I agree with him on some things. So call me what you want to call me. But they don't like the idea that what we are upstart, younger generation relative to them, at least. I mean, I'm 36, not 35. And we are here to take over. You are not the elites anymore. We are building something new. The Daily Wire is building something new. Many individuals are going to challenge that system, and they don't like it. They don't like that you're supporting the work we do, and they can't do anything to stop us. Let me show you the clip in question. Oh, here we go. I will say, for YouTube, they call him a pro-Trump YouTuber. Salty Cracker does a big stream on Rumble, where he's more edgy. Here's the clip from me. I love this. On that day, Trump says, show up for a protest. It's gonna be wild. And based on what we've already seen from the previous events, I think Trump is absolutely correct.
Motherfucker, you better.
That was it. That was it. And then Salty comes in with the swearing. Maybe you didn't hear it. I don't know. I'm gonna put a flag on the iTunes version of this. I'll have to remember to do that. That's it. Look, it's a clip of me reading Fox News on December 19th, 2020, a Fox News article that says Trump promises wild protests in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, claims it's impossible he lost. Well, I think Donald Trump is wrong. I think I underestimated the opposition. I think you look at the data in hindsight, and there's a lot of issues that we can challenge, like the constitutionality of mail-in voting and all of that stuff. Fair point. But this is me reading Fox News. Is that what the January 6th takes as some kind of evidence of me doing anything to promote what Donald Trump was saying? I'll tell you this. On Timcast IRL and on all of my channels, I said I was intending to go down on January 6th to see what was going on because people were planning on doing shows and things like that. And I said, okay, we can set up like a podcasting thing in a hotel. It's the president, because he was the president at the time, and then interview people who are down there. Donald Trump had a big rally and said that they were going to go peacefully march to the Capitol, and then bad stuff happened. There was a riot. People were injured. Some people died at the Capitol, not police. Cops shot a lady, and it was bad. What did I say the night before? I said there's the night, not only the night before, but several nights before. I said I was planning on going unless I think that people actually might get violent. So, yeah, when there's a video of me saying it's probably going to get wild and I'm saying I won't go down there if people want to riot, I am not there at any of these events to support what I believe is a failing tactic. And anybody who argues that violence works is probably a Fed, which is why the night before, when that guy, what's his name, Ray Epps, started yelling, he wanted people to go in the Capitol, they started chanting Fed at him. Well, apparently a bunch of dumb people went in. Now, to be fair, a lot of these people who went in the building on January 6th were let in. That's a fact. A man was actually acquitted of all charges because there's a video of him being motioned in by the police. So what happens is on one side of the building, you have a violent riot. A lot of fighting, injuries. It's bad stuff. But are we going to get a hearing on the 529 insurrection? When far left extremists tore down the barricades in front of the White House, set fire to a guard post and to the church in front of the building, trying to breach the White House, forcing the president of the United States into the emergency bunker. No hearing there, right? So by all means, please tell everyone in the world my name. Give me the chance to call out the hypocrisy and the lies. 1. Violence doesn't work. And to be honest, even some nonviolent civil disobedience doesn't work. We saw that video of people blocking the highway and that guy who was on parole gets arrested. Yeah, that was a failure. You want to win hearts and minds. You want to win the confidence of the people. Attacking people doesn't do that for you. It's a mistake and it's wrong. And as I've long maintained, the people who rioted should be arrested and should be charged. Some of these people have tried claiming, oh, I was let in. And then the judge is like, there's a video of you climbing over barricades and swinging things at people. Okay, well, those people should get charged. What we see now, the January 6th committee doing what leftist grifters love to do. Take my words out of context to try and smear me. But for what? Well, you see, here's the funny thing. Timcast, we get around like 50 to 60 million views every month as a network. During 2020, at this time, we were getting around 120 million. It was massive. Uh-oh, that's a problem. They banned Milo Yiannopoulos. They banned Laura Loomer. They banned Donald Trump. They didn't like people who were propping up Donald Trump and fervently supporting him. Well, I am no fervent supporter of Donald Trump. I voted for him. He has some good policies, and he's better than Joe Biden. But I'm not a fan of his character, and I say that all the time. But now you've got post-liberal, moderate individuals. What do? They're lending a voice to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, well, too bad. If it's true, it's true, and I'll interview anybody. We had Enrique Tarrio on the show. Oh, no, he's being charged with seditious conspiracy. Look, we're a media and news company. We interview people. Larry King used to interview a ton of crazy people, too. It's nonsense. We have a First Amendment right. Unless, of course, you think we don't. Then you're a fascist, as it were. Well, right now, we're hearing that Steve Bannon is going to be testifying to the January 6th panel. This will be interesting. And I think it's all part of the plan. Steve Bannon did not testify to the closed-door hearings, and I think it was the right move, in my personal opinion, which I'm allowed to have. And the reason is, he may get in trouble for contempt of Congress, because they take these interviews out of context. Oh, the best thing they could apparently muster of me is me reading Fox News, I guess. Sure. They say that I was, fueling the flame or something like that, even though I outright said, if it gets violent, I won't go anywhere near it. And I repeatedly said people should not go if there's going to be violence. Well, too bad. Too bad. They want to smear everybody. It's not going to work. They're losing. They're losing, and the polls show it. This stuff is nonsense, and nobody cares. What do they care about? They care about gas prices. So I see these memes, and people are like, I care about the January 6th hearings. And I'm like, sure. Do they really care about the January 6th hearings? No. Regular people care about the gas pumps. So now we've got tweets coming out. I just got one sent in from the newsroom. They're playing clips from people, including Tim Pool and Alex Jones, hyping up the January 6th rally and calling for supporters to descend upon Washington for a red wedding. I never said red wedding. Or, I don't know. That doesn't sound like anything I would say. It's funny how the Trump supporters can call me a bunch of slurs and say I'm a pathetic milquetoast fence sitter. And then the January 6th committee can just come out and be like, he's a pro-Trumper who's pouring gas on the flames. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's where we're currently at with the state of politics. From the Washington Times, Elon Musk blasts Trump criticism. Says it's time for ex-president to hang up his hat. Oh, heavens. I want to stress this point. This is the original segment that I was going to do. Donald Trump called Elon Musk a BS artist at an Alaskan rally. Elon Musk responded by saying that Donald Trump should hang up his hat and Ron DeSantis should run because it's a victory. That's a given. I think it's funny because I actually agree with that. And while I'm getting ready to do a segment, I've got all the clips pulled up and everything. We've got Predict It here showing Ron DeSantis on the rise, but Donald Trump still beating him. I've talked about the polls before, that they would come out and be like, look at this pro-Trump YouTuber. YouTuber? Heavens, January 6th committee. I'm a podcaster and the CEO of an, let's just say a large media company. We'll put it at that. We're growing quickly. We have multiple shows. We have very big deals in the works. We have over 30 employees. Maybe we're not the biggest, but we are growing. And in a few years, we will be bigger than CNN. And with your help at timcast.com, even faster. But anyway, I digress. Look, for all that Trump is that I do agree with, I think Ron DeSantis is way better. And I'll tell you the first and most important thing to me. Military experience. Ron DeSantis was in the Navy. He was a JAG officer, I believe it's called. I'm not super familiar with military stuff, but so he knows legal, he knows law, and he was in the Navy. And I think that's extremely, extremely important for a commander-in-chief. Now, there are some concerns about Ron DeSantis' foreign policy, his support, his opposition to BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction on Israel. Questions about whether or not he will truly be free speech and whether or not he will have good foreign policy. It's tough. When it comes to what we care about in this country, it is very much culture war and domestic cultural issues in which Ron DeSantis is the superstar. Of course, they'll try and smear him. Here's a story from the Washington Times. Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk called for former President Donald Trump to quit politics, escalating a war of words between the influential billionaires with their eyes on dominating social media marketplace. I don't hate the man, but it's time for Trump to hang up his hat and sail into the sunset, Mr. Musk said on Twitter. Dems should also call off the attack. Don't make it so that Trump's only way to survive is to regain the presidency. Mr. Musk's commentary was posted in response to a video of Mr. Trump's remarks at a political rally in Alaska, hammering Mr. Musk after he publicly sought to walk away from taking over Twitter. Mr. Trump pitched the audience on his own social platform, Truth Social. And he said he previously told people Mr. Musk would not go through with the Twitter acquisition. Quote, "You know, he said the other day, oh, I've never voted for a Republican. I said, I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me," Mr. Trump said at the rally on Saturday. So he's another BS artist and he's not going to be buying it. Mr. Musk disputed that he told Mr. Trump he voted for him in a tweet, saying that was not true. So actually, here's the tweets from Elon Musk. We have this video from Breitbart. Elon Musk says, "I don't hate the man, but they should call off the attack." Adam Irvin responded saying, "I'm a little surprised this is your take. I say Trump DeSantis 2024, DeSantis 2028 and 32. Elon Musk said, "Trump would be 82 at the end of term, which is too old to be chief executive of anything, let alone the United States of America. If DeSantis runs against Biden in 2024, then DeSantis would easily win. He doesn't even need to campaign." I agree. I completely agree. Hands down, I agree. Mr. Elon Musk. Yeah, Trump would be 82. That is too old. And I'm not going to sit here and play these games where the diehard Trump supporters are like, Trump is the best no matter what. The ragging on Elon, well, so be it. I've never come here to pander to anybody. It's true. Donald Trump is close to being 80. He would be 82 at the end of his term. He's too old for my liking. Now you got a Ron DeSantis, who's done a tremendous job protecting freedoms. In Florida, he reopened businesses. He did right by his people, opposing mandates. He's opposing the gender ideology, the critical race theory ideology. Ron DeSantis is a lot younger. He's got military experience, hands down leadership material. It's why he is such a rising star. Now, I'll tell you my one concern, as I often bring it up. The January 6th committee is so scared of Donald Trump because he's going to fire so many people. And that's what I really want to see. Fired. You're fired. To be fair, Donald Trump could have done this in his first term, and he didn't. And for what reason? Russiagate? Well, look how that turned out for him, not firing these people. He should have just done it. I suppose the fear was that if he started firing people, then they'd be like, see, look, he's dismantling the government. He's a bad guy or whatever. I don't think Ron DeSantis will go in and will clean house. I don't think so. And we really need it. We need term limits for the administrative state. If you are appointed to a position in the federal government, such as, working in any of these intelligence agencies, there should be a cap on how many years you can be in. It's fine, in my opinion, if there's an overlap between the head of the FBI and presidents. Like, you got a president in for 4 years, and you've got an FBI director who starts 2 years into the term, and then he works for 4 years into the 2 years of the next president's term, and that will dictate a ton of policy, domestic law enforcement, and then with the CIA, foreign policy stuff. It is a problem for the United States that we have a revolving executive branch and federal government. You get a president who comes in and says, we're going to go to this country and do this. And another president comes in and says, no, we're not. We're stopping that. Another president comes in. Hey, look, Vladimir Putin's got a major advantage in that he is basically a dictator. But the problem is we don't want to live under the boot of any kind of despotic authoritarian. So it's better we have the rotation, right? It does come with that problem, which is why the best thing we can do is probably create a similar rotation for the administrative state. You see, there is an advantage in having despotic authoritarians with a singular plan, but what happens when you live under them? As we've seen with Vladimir Putin, he will jail his opposition, and now, as we're seeing with the administrative state, they're willing to do the exact same thing. Yes, the administrative state effectively is our authoritarian dictatorship. We need to break that apart. Will Ron DeSantis do it? I don't know. So there's the challenge. With Donald Trump, it's like a guarantee. The dude's going to go in like a raging bull seeking revenge and just smack things around. But with Ron DeSantis, I think it's possible he gets in and says, I'm going to be tough and firm, but we're going to try and settle things down and work together. And then what do you get? Neocon, warmongering, garbage? I don't know, man. Which is why I'm skeptical a bit. You know, like I didn't vote for Donald Trump the first time. I voted for him the second time because I saw him getting our troops out of the Middle East. I saw the Abraham Accords. I saw school choice. And I said, look, I'll take what I can get. Joe Biden's going to make everything worse. And he did. Gas prices, inflation, just everything all around worse. My fear with Ron DeSantis, he gets in and then we get more Middle Eastern war. We get back on track with neocon expansionism, but it's just not the Democrats' brand. I don't know that that's a guarantee. I don't. And overall, DeSantis has proven himself to be a very effective leader. But I am concerned about foreign policy. And I really don't want to fall for this game where it's like you get some dude who talks all this good domestic policy, and then you're like, I'm going to vote for him. And then he gets in, and the first thing he does is blows up a bunch of kids. And then it's like, I voted for that man? That's why it's tough. It really, really is. You never know. I have a feeling what may happen is if Ron DeSantis is the nominee in 2024, I'll probably vote for him as it stands right now, and then come to regret it when the foreign policy goes south. But again, I don't know. Maybe DeSantis does right by the American people. Maybe it's very limited in terms of foreign policy. It's not like a withdrawal, but not an expansion. I have no idea. We'll see what he says. You know, Ron DeSantis will be in these debates. We'll see what he has to say, and we'll see how Donald Trump handles it. Donald Trump debating a Ron DeSantis is going to be brutal because Ron DeSantis, too good. What's Trump going to say? How's he going to insult Ron DeSantis? Now, Trump's got a lot to say. He does. And he was able to roast the other Republican nominees in 2015, 2016. And you know what? Rightly so. These people were pathetic. They were neocons. They didn't know what they were doing. Jeb was awful. And Donald Trump was able to go in and say all these sweet nothings. Talked about bringing jobs back. Talked about all this good stuff that people wanted to hear. And then ragged on these Republican candidates for being trash. Yeah, insulting their families or calling women fat pigs or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of bad things that I don't like about Donald Trump. What's he going to say for Ron DeSantis? He's going to say he doesn't have the experience. He's a good guy. I know you all like him, but Ron, you are wrong. Wrong. Listen, you've got to get in, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if Trump can out-debate Ron DeSantis. And when Ron DeSantis comes in and says, Mr. President Donald Trump, with all due respect, you are right. We got to bring our jobs back. The TPP was a disaster. We got to get our factories up and running. We got to stop the outsourcing of jobs. We've got to secure our borders. I have done that. And Florida's economy is booming because of it. People of this country, what I have done for Florida in terms of economic growth, I will bring to all of you if you vote for me. Mark my words. And that right there, I mean, he's going to say, look, Donald, I know that you didn't start the pandemic. You weren't responsible for it. But under your presidency, people suffered. And in Florida at the same time, we did right by our residents and citizens. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the country moving forward. There's a big trick. There's a tricky thing here. Trump being so popular. Ron DeSantis can't come out and attack Donald Trump. He's too popular and they like him. Trump can't do the same to DeSantis. So it'll be really fascinating. Take a look at this from the New York Times. Half of GOP voters ready to leave Trump behind, poll finds. Far from consolidating his support, the former president appears weakened in his party, especially with younger and college-educated Republicans. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida is the most popular alternative. You know it. No joke. Over at Predict It, we can see that 42% of people say it's going to be Trump. 35 are saying it's going to be DeSantis. Now, it's not really percent. The way it works is you buy shares of whether or not you think something will be true, and it goes up to the dollar. So 35 cents for DeSantis to 42 for Trump, meaning if Trump wins, for every share you have, you get like 42 cents or whatever if he wins. But by the time he wins, if you're right, you get like $1. So the idea is like if you buy Larry Hogan, which is a really bad idea, and then you buy like 100 at 3 cents, well, now you've got, 100 times $1, you get $100 for your, 3 cent, whatever you ended up putting in for it, right? Substantially less money. Anyway, I digress. Over at the New York Times, whether we actually take this polling seriously, because I'm not saying you can just trust singular polls, they say by focusing on political payback inside of his party instead of tending to wounds opened by his alarming attempts to cling to power. Mr. Trump appears to have only deepened fault lines among Republicans during his year-long revenge tour. A clear majority of primary voters under 35, 64%, as well as 65% of those with a college degree, a leading indicator of political preferences inside the donor class, told pollsters they would vote against Trump in a presidential primary. Mr. Trump's conduct on January 6 appears to have contributed to the decline in his standing, including among a small but important segment of Republicans who could form the base of his opposition in a potential primary contest. While 75% of primary voters said Mr. Trump was just exercising his right to contest the election, nearly 1 in 5 said he went so far that he threatened American democracy. Oh, calm down. It was bad. It was bad. And it's getting bad. But I think Trump mostly did nothing. Look, telling people to come protest is nothing. Saying it's going to be wild is nothing. The January 6th committee is full of it. But I got to be honest. I am I'm right in the middle right now between DeSantis and Trump. I got to be completely honest. I know, such a Tim Pool answer. Come on, Tim, take a side. Is it Trump or DeSantis? I will say this immediately and outright. Ron DeSantis would be a better leader than Donald Trump. Sticks Hexenhammer, I think he's fantastic, disagrees with me. He tweeted in response, nope. And then he quote tweeted me and says that he disagrees. I respect it 100%. I know a lot of people would prefer to see Donald Trump. I don't see it. And that may be because I don't come from the right. I am a disaffected liberal, as it were. Ron DeSantis, he stands for policy positions that I don't completely agree with. I'm worried about the BDS stuff because I think people have a right to free speech, but there are some nuance issues there. So it's always nuanced, isn't it? I'm not pro-life. I oppose abortion. I think it's bad and wrong. But there is a challenge here with the Roe v. Wade stuff about what the government's rights are versus what individual rights are, which leads me to say I think abortion in every case is wrong. The intentional termination of a baby's life. There are some circumstances where I think, well, so it depends on your definition. I'll put it this way. The CDC says ending the life of a baby, terminating a pregnancy in a way that does not result in a live birth. So some on the left will say that abortion is the treatment for an ectopic pregnancy, and that's not true. It's called something else, laparotomy or whatever, I don't know. They cut an incision in the abdomen and they go into the fallopian tube and they remove it before it gets bad. You could argue, in a sense, it's an abortion, but the right is talking about the procedure of an abortion, like the literal procedure of how they conduct the overwhelming majority of abortions to end a pregnancy. I'll just put it this way. Simply put, elective abortion is bad, but I don't know where the government has the authority to come in for someone's private medical issues. And that's why I actually lean towards the Roe decision, which is like pre-viability is an issue of the mother's privacy. And afterwards, there are two individuals involved, and that was the big issue at play. So I don't fall in the staunch conservative right-wing space. I fall in the Joe Biden is a disaster. He's destroying the economy. Facts are real. I read news sources across the board and I know what's true and what's not for the most part. And the left is in a cult, watching things like the January 6th committee, hearing nonsense. And then I watch the news and I say, I understand Ben Shapiro's point. I do. I sat down with over at the Blaze with Glenn Beck and we talked about pro-life versus choice. And I was like, man, I don't know where the government can intervene in these issues. I think elective abortion is wrong, meaning women use it as contraception. But it's just like, man, it's tough. It's tough moral position. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm not going to pretend. I try to quantify morality, and maybe you can't. I try to figure out the logic of how you be fair, and it's like, man, there are two lives involved here. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I want to believe in liberty and individual choices. The baby has rights, in my opinion, but man, it is just difficult. A woman getting raped, and this is my point. Not to go on the abortion stuff over and over again. My point is the politics. I'd prefer not to vote for Republicans, but there's no Democrats who believe in individual liberties, who would oppose the war, who would call out the racism of the left, who would call out the insane gender ideology. So for me, my faction, we're politically homeless. The best bet we have is vote for some Republicans on domestic issues, but then what? Regret the foreign policy issues? It's tough, man. I don't know the answers. But the media is even gearing up to smear Ron DeSantis anyway. New York Mag's Jonathan Chait doubles down on comparing DeSantis to Trump. Authoritarian to the bone. Oh, you know what, man? Shut up. There's no right answer, is there? I can come out and say, I've never been a strong Trump supporter, but I voted for him for these reasons. There's a lot I don't like about him. And the January 6th committee can attack me because I read a news story about Donald Trump saying a thing was going to happen. You know what? I can't stand the left, the Democrats. At the very least, when I look at Donald Trump or DeSantis, I can disagree with them, but they don't lie about what I believe and who I am for political power. People like Liz Cheney and Schiff and Kinzinger are scumbags. Scumbags. Steve Bannon? Oh, there's certainly things I don't agree with him on. I have prominent friends, not liberal types, who don't like the guy at all for his political strategies. But at the very least, I can tell you, they lie about nearly everything about the guy. I'm sick of it. Tell me the truth. Stop lying about me and other people and give a real reason to argue against anything I may have done or said, or Steve may have done or said. No. The left is in a cult, exemplified by the fact that you can take any prominent journalist, put them in the ground.news bias blind spotter, and see all they consume is leftist media. Then you get the January 6th committee vomiting in front of the American people, pretending with their sham committee hearing. But thanks for featuring me, I guess. Oh, hey, it's been a long time, but now I get to put myself in the thumbnail of my own video. Thankfully, thankfully, there's an independent media apparatus. Thankfully, we're winning. And I don't mean we as in Trump supporters or anything like that. I mean we as in those who believe in the truth. When I look to the Daily Wire and I see their success, I say good. Call out the lies. When I look to Timcast.com and your support, you're helping call out the lies. Thank you, January 6th committee, for putting a weird out of context post in your show or whatever. Whatever. Thanks for including me. I'll make myself my own thumbnail for the first time in a long time, thanks to you putting me in the news. I hope you're all having a good day. We'll talk more about it at youtube.com/TimcastIRL at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.